Friendship. Friendship again?
Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 246th live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we have Way of the Snake Lord. This is a new monk subclass coming from Desmar Sama, who has yet to join us, but hopefully they'll get here before it starts. I'm actually really curious about this one. It's been a minute, I think, since we've seen a monk class. I can't actually remember the last monk that we reviewed, but Way of the Snake Lord actually gives me a lot of hope, not because I have any kind of fascination with snakes or have been wanting a snake style, but I'm hopeful because it's the first time in a long time I've seen a naming structure that doesn't immediately scream overpowered and complicated. This honestly sounds like something that should exist, right? I mean, we have Way of, what is it, like Monkey Fist or Open Palm. There's the idea of naming it after an animal and a style of fighting really makes me hope that this is going to be a little bit more on the physical chunky side and not so much on the let's be OP just because. But we'll find out, and you will too. Let's see what Des has in store for us. Let me get everything set up here. Get all of this taken away. There we go. All right, cool.
Perfection.
Perfect. Sneaky snake. It could be a very sneaky snake.
Sneaky snake.
Very sneaky snake. Actually, that would be kind of dope though if this was a rogue-like aspect for a monk.
Actually, kind of, yeah.
Would be kind of interesting.
More stealth-oriented, a little bit more, sneak attack-ish. Not like actual sneak attack, but yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I'm really curious.
Totally see that.
Curious where it's going to go, because when you think of snake, this could be the speed aspect of a snake. It could be the swiftness of their attacks, the swiftness of their movement. It could be water-based for, all we know. Like, I'm really curious.
Sure.
Again, Way of the Snake Lord sounds interesting. Now, granted, it does say Snake Lord, so I'm actually really curious what that entails. Like, how much of it's actually going to entail real snakes versus just like a fighting style. So we'll have to see how that actually works.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be something having to do with poison in here, like maybe like poison damage or poisonous attack, something along those lines. That's just a hunch. I honestly don't remember when I transcribed this one, so I feel like it's been a minute. And I don't actually remember anything that was in here. So
awesome. Well,
just as surprised as everybody else.
I have no idea. Although I am wearing the wrong fit for the video, so I gotta go swap out real quick.
Valid. Absolutely. I'm always excited for one of Dez's builds. All of you guys have very unique brewing styles, and I enjoy getting to see like the types of things that you guys gravitate towards, you guys avoid, like, and different ways that you guys see things, like the ideas that Vortex and I have versus some of the things that you guys do that inspire. It's so wild. So I'm super here for it. I'm doing all right, Soul. I'm just out here chilling, had a crazy weekend, a lot of last minute things come up for me, but we're back at it again. Oh, clean. We love the fit. Alrighty.
All right, cool. So we are all set. Any word from Dez?
Not as of yet. I pinged him over in our Discord. They may be absent from Meow, but hopefully join us pretty soon.
Hopefully. Well, no major updates for me right now. The Saber stream is still TBD. It is just money's a bitch right now. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it this month. So we're working some things out on the budget side for dumping another $100 or potentially $150.
Put that in there. Yeah. Yep.
So it's still coming. I'm not giving up on it. I need to make sure that it's financially right for me to do so, because the $16 a month the stream makes isn't cutting it.
Valid.
We'll get there. We'll get there, y'all.
A good couple of months for that.
Yeah. So hopefully next month is probably going to be locked in next month. I just don't know if I'll be able to do it this month. So we'll get there though. Promise. Because I want to make another one. I'm really like, after I made mine, I need to make another one. But yeah, that's it.
Tattoo.
What's up?
I said it's like getting a tattoo. Once you do one, you
really
gotta
is.
do another.
It's gonna be so hard to give it up, but I mean, it's gonna go to a good home. I hope. Someone out there will appreciate it.
I believe it.
And to TBD as well, we may be playing around with the stream schedule coming up as well.
Yeah, we were
Mondays won't go anywhere as always, but Fridays have been not really working for us ever. In 3 years,
it's good Fridays, but they're fewer and far between.
Exactly. Like, they're not as consistent. And I don't know, we do have a variety of content that we can do. We're trying to nail down more consistency with OSR once we fine tune it a little bit
tell me
more.
we're not tripping again.
And I really do want OSR to be something that's
don't do this to me.
Much more consistent. I still hear you, so you haven't frozen yet. But yeah, so I want OSR to be more consistent. But Friday streams, whether or not we're just out of ideas so we game, or we're just doing different, we're testing the waters with different things. I'm glad we have all those ideas. But I think Friday itself has just been not our best day. And if there's another day of the week that we could put that effort into and not take up Friday night, but also actually be able to reach a better audience. So we'll probably be playing around with that over the next month or two. So again, Mondays will stay the same. Mondays will stay reviews. But as for Fridays, we're probably going to cut Fridays from every Friday to maybe every other Friday, and then swap out from a different day, and then we'll play around throughout the week with how that goes. So you may be seeing us on Wednesdays and Thursdays sometime soon in the future. Who knows?
Hey.
But yeah, that was it. That's all my updates. So we've given Des the chance. But I guess we can begin.
Hey, man. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. So we have Way of the Snake Lord. This is a monk subclass from Desmar Sama, and as always, let's start at the beginning, or at the description. Excuse me. How am I going to get up? How am I going to fuck up my own my own script? We'll start as always with the description. Many of the earliest forms of martial arts derived from mimicking the animal kingdom: the crane, the tiger, the dragon. These forms spread throughout many different cenobium. Sequestered away from the rest of the world in hidden temples on fog-shrouded mountaintops, surrounded by jungle, the Snake Lords amplified their martial prowess by studying the way of not only their serpentine inspiration, but that of the mysticism and magic. Okay. That took a different turn than I was expecting. Their training was rigorous, combining the agility and fluidity of the serpent with the mental discipline required to master the arcane arts. Each discipline underwent years of intense tutelage, learning to harness their inner energy or ki, unleashed devastating strikes and spells upon adversaries. In the shadows, they watched their serpentine gaze piercing through the veil of ignorance that shrouded the world. For the Snake Lords knew that their destiny was intertwined with the fate of all living beings, and that one day, balance of power tipped precisely on the edge of chaos, they would emerge from the shadows to restore order to the realm. Wow, that is a very heavily packed piece of lore. There is a lot going on with this lore. Both, I don't want to say both good and bad. There's just a lot going on with this lore.
Yeah, like
I've
seen intros that are bigger than this that don't feel like they give me as much as I'm getting here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like we could, like, the first two sentences are great, referencing other types, then we're just kind of getting the idea that they chose the snake, right? So that could have been good. The magic was an interesting twist. The fact that this is going to be a magic wielding, maybe half caster, quarter caster style monk, I'm assuming, is going to be very interesting. I don't know any other monk subclass that currently has casting ability.
I know Rogue does it. I know.
I don't know if it needs.
Fighter does do it.
I mean, we are all about subletting subclasses, but it's also one of those I don't know if it needs it. So we'll see. You know what I mean? Like, not every combination needs to exist, but
yeah.
And then
how they put it into practice.
I'm curious about what they mean by like each discipline. Like that almost sounds like this was supposed to be a main class, and then this is like, you know, like it's almost referencing like a subclass, because it says that they went under years of intense tutelage, learning to harness their energy to unleash the strikes and spells. So it's like, oh, I guess it says disciple, not just no. I misread that. It says disciple, not discipline. Okay, I just misread that.
Okay.
I was thinking that they were talking about multiple. No, this is just a disciple. So each individual. Okay.
Each person. Okay.
So yeah, you know, again, that's all fine. These last couple, I think, add just a little bit too much. You know, the watching from the shadows, veil of ignorance that shrouded the world. It's almost like it's front loading them with a lot of importance. And the downside about doing that is typically when you are a player within the world, like that kind of stuff more often doesn't exist, right? Like you might be a first level or a fifth level when you first start, but no one cares that you came and you're here to save the world. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost built in main hero energy. So I'm always a little bit like,
right.
I mean, I have the same thing about like how Deva are described sometimes, or even how like celestial beings are described. Like too often, yes, I know that they are, you know, from a divine source, but a lot of the times they almost sound too important on the front end, and then they're just yet another playing character, right? Yes, they're a hero, but it's almost like everybody else is built to just be the regular Joe Schmo who worked their way up, and these ones are almost just straight out born to be it just because you chose it. So
like everybody else is in like everybody else in the party.
Just in general, like in the lore, right? Like when you front load this, it's like by choosing this, you're basically saying, yeah, but the world's waiting for me. And it's like, well, what are the rest? Are we just like schmucks that just decided to like follow you? Like I don't have it
with years.
Yeah. So I'm always a little bit like, I don't know what side of the fence I'm on when that much lore is heavy weighted like that. Like I said, it's not like a lot of complex lore. It's just, it's very like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have other words for it. You know what I mean? It is just one of those. It feels heavier than it needs to.
Prescriptive, a little bit, in the sense that it's like, hey, I'm trying to tell you like who you are, rather than like maybe where you came from. That's why I feel like a lot of this stuff is like it's trying to. It should be trying to set you up for like what got you here, right? What brought you to this way of life, to becoming this thing that you are now, and like help you understand that, rather than describe the entire future that you have waiting for you ahead. And so
right.
like I feel that. I definitely feel that.
One thing I've seen with other descriptions that could have, that I think I would have accepted, even though it would have said the same thing, but a different verbiage, is instead of the knowing that their destiny is intertwined and one day when the balance power is tipped, that's when they'll come out. Because again, that's so heavy weighted with, well, when I choose this, it's assuming that that's happened, right? But if you change that to, they've always had a sense that their destiny was intertwined with the fate of the world, and basically because they're hiding in the mountains, right? That's how they set this up. So if they said that they had a sense that their destiny was tied with the world, and that pull is what leads often these disciples to venture into the world as a pull to do something greater. Like if you basically said the same thing, but said that is what drives them, is this sense of purpose, and that's why they leave the mountaintop to go out in the world, then I'm fine. Because then that's the player being able to say, I'm the hero of the world, or I'm here to cure darkness, or whatever, right? It's okay that they feel like they are part of the world, like they're part of something bigger, but this again, front loads it into, but these are the saviors. They're waiting to save the world. Whereas if you just say they know their destiny is tied there, and each individual disciple will get the call someday. And when they get the call, that's what drives them to leave the mountaintop and go in search of that purpose that they know their destiny is there for. Some of them know it, some of them like get like a direct call and some of them get a vague call. But I think that would have been an easier pill to swallow, because then you know why they're just sitting up there. But again, if it just front loads a lot of.
I get you.
You said a good word, and I can't remember what you said earlier. Prescriptive.
It's just prescriptive.
It's very prescriptive instead of being a good setup. It's a delivery. Put it that way. It's not a good setup. It's a delivery.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not saying that's a bad or good thing. That's just my first reaction to reading this. Is I'm just like, it seems like it's already pre-written for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I know it's just lore. Most people don't care, but that kind of stuff matters to me. So, but moving on, let's see what we get.
That's what we're here for.
That's exactly what we're here for. So let's actually see what we get from this. All right. So snake galordy kind of stuff. Okay, so you're gonna have some control. That's gonna be really interesting to see how the magic and the snake control, and if they do it well enough to also implement that into like the fighting style, because I would really hate this just to become a spellcasting monk who just has like a fist, like has all the same regular attacks, but they can just do like snake magic. And it's like, okay, but like, do I get a special kind of attack? Do I get the choice to do Fury of Blows or something else? Sure. Right? Can you imagine like a Fury of Blows where you actually like grab their hands and like basically like grapple them, and so they can't make attacks like in such a way where this grapple actually prevents them from attacking. They have to get out of it first. Like there could be, those are the things I would hope for. So let's see if we get there, or if they're going to focus more on the magic.
Okay.
So at level 3, when you choose this, the first thing you get is spellcasting. When you reach 3rd level, you gain the ability to cast spells. See Chapter 10 for the general rules of spellcasting, Chapter 11 for the Druid spell list. Interesting.
Okay.
So point out the Druid spell list immediately. Cantrips. Okay, and it hasn't decided.
Excited to feel that.
Yeah, and it didn't identify the type of spellcaster just yet. So we'll see. So cantrips. You learn the Launch Snakes spell and 2 cantrips of your choice from the Druid spell list. You learn another Druid cantrip of your choice at 10th level. So you're going to have 3 cantrips plus Launch Snakes. I
really wish I saw that a little bit closer, because I would have tried to find the Launch Snake spell. Because I've never heard of that. I don't know if that's something that Des came up with. I can check the original submission to see, but
let's see. There was a bestiary that they sent with some things. I'm just curious if Launch Snakes is in there. So Launch Snakes is not in the bestiary that they sent, so that might be a custom one that we'll have to double check.
Yes, so I found it. It's I don't think I know where I put it, but I do have it right here. I can describe it to you. It's basically it's a first level conjuration spell. It's got 1 action. It's a range of 30 feet. Components are verbal, somatic, and material. And the material is 1 snake shed. So like after a snake sheds its skin.
Yeah.
Duration's instantaneous. It says you summon 2 Fey spirits that take the form of poisonous snakes. Monster Manual, page 334. And launch from your hand at high velocity at a foe. Each poisonous snake makes a bite attack on the target, then lands in the nearest unoccupied space to the target. The summoned creatures are friendly to you and your companions. Roll initiative for the summoned creatures, which has its own turns. They obey verbal commands. And a lot of the standard stuff you get when you have summons. If you issue any commands, they defend themselves, blah, 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 blah.
Right at 3rd level.
Higher levels.
So right at 3rd level, you immediately get access to a 1st level double conjuration ranged conjuration spell, summoning spell, and 2 cantrips from the Druid spell list. Are we setting up for being a full caster? Because I'm trying to, like, again, I'm not as familiar, but 1 level spell and 2 cantrips out the gate sounds like a lot. I didn't realize you got 2 cantrips like that unless you're a full caster.
It depends. Sometimes they do cantrips weird for like, because of how sorcerers get their spells, sorcerers get a lot more cantrips front loaded than somebody like a druid. A druid might only ever have 4 cantrips throughout their entire career, whereas sorcerers will likely end up with like 6, maybe even 8.
And this is only going to end up with 3 cantrips total. When it's all said and done. I was just commenting on starting with 2. I just off the top of my head, I was wondering what level.
Starting with 2 when it comes to spell casting is fairly common. Sometimes you even start with 3.
So that's just not good. That's not indicative of half caster or full caster. That's just a spell caster period.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I do want to see what the rogue gets at that same level.
Let's see. So spell slots, Snake Lord spell slot table shows how many spell slots you have to cast your druid spells at first level and higher. To cast one of these spells, you must expend a spell slot at level or higher. You regain all expended slots after a long rest. Spells known at first level or higher, 2 of which you must choose from the conjuration. Spells known column. Okay, so that's just more spells. And then spell casting ability is your spell save DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. And your spell attack modifier is your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. And it looks like you were gonna. Okay, so we're only getting 4th level spells. So the max, yeah. So you're getting 4th level spells.
Like order.
Wait, I'm confused. Why? I'm very confused. Why does this go down? Like.
Down?
Watch cantrips, right? Cantrips known 2 3 2 2 4 4 2 5 4 3. Spells known 3 3 3 3 2 4 4 2 5 5. First level spells 2 3 3 2 2 4. This whole chart's not accurate unless it's meant to.
Might be my fault. That might be my fault because I'm looking at the original and it doesn't look that way.
Okay, so it must have just transcribed over weirdly because this definitely doesn't make sense.
So cantrips known from 3rd level to 10th level, 2. From 11th level to 20th level, 3. So you only ever get 3.
Okay, wow. Okay, yeah, this is way off. I don't know.
And it's literally halfway through your level.
Okay, so you only have an
The other one, spells known is also messed up. So let me look at that one real quick.
I'm just curious again. I'm just trying to identify what level of caster. So if we're only going to get up to 4th level,
and then you don't get another one till 10th level, and then you're at 5, and then at 13th level you get 6, at 16th level you get 7, and at 19th level you get 8 known spells. And then let's look. I think my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and 4th level spells. Why does it keep doing that? I have no idea how this table got so messed up. So this is going to be the normal progression that we get.
Okay, so nothing unique about the spell.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of caster is this? Is this half or quarter caster? Based on how many spells?
I think this is a quarter caster.
Quarter caster. Okay.
This is a quarter caster because I think half casters get at least up to 6 level spells.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Cool. All right. So we get a range. So so I'm really hoping that we get more than just a spellcasting monk from this. That's my biggest hope because I don't think there's a need or like I don't think there's a problem that we don't have a specifically casting. I'm really excited to see more though how they integrate the snakes outside of the summons.
And just so you know, for Arcane Trickster, they get up to 4 cantrips, and at the end when they get 20th level, they know 13 spells. We know like just over half that many at
Okay.
8 total. So this is not going to be as casty focused, like as the we'll say the trickster.
That's
in
good
the
to know.
end.
That's a good like delineation.
Yeah.
All right, so also at level 3, we get Snake Den Technique. Your connection to all things serpent allows you a deeper reach into snakes of another plane. When you cast Launch Snakes, you can spend 1 key point to modify the spell in one of the following ways. You can summon giant poisonous snakes, constrictor snakes, or flying snakes instead of, those are just 2 poisonous, what was the other 2? The poisonous snakes? Regular, like there was 2 regular poisonous snakes. Now it's a giant, constrictor, or flying.
Yes, 2 regular poisonous snakes. That's correct.
Okay, so upgrade them to giant or constrictor, which would be more for grappling and poison, and then flying, which would make them more
constrictor snakes. I love constrictor snakes. As a druid, I like turn into constrictor snakes a lot. I love being able to like wrap around somebody and bite somebody. So having 2 of those guys jump out too, that's kind of cool. I would definitely mess with that.
Yep. We also get Poisonous Striking Fists at level 3. Use your key to inflict wounds. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend a key point to deal extra poison damage equal to 1 of your martial arts dies, plus your wisdom modifier. You can use this feature only once per turn.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. The way I would word this, just for, I would say when you hit somebody with your flurry of blows, with one of your flurry of blows, you get to do this.
Not just an unarmed strike. It has to be flurry of blows.
Because flurry of blows specifically is an unarmed strike, and you're already spending a key point on flurry of blows. So you're basically saying you get to add this to this core feature that you have. You get to add this ability to this core feature you have. There's another, I think it's the Deft Strike. That monk does the same thing. It allows you, whenever you do a flurry of blows, you can add an extra technique. You can add a trip technique. You can add a pushing technique. You can add a whatever technique to your flurry of blows. And so adding this to that. And so, because the way this works, if I wanted to do this strike and I wanted to do flurry of blows, I would have to spend 2 key points, right? But if I could do both of those all at once, if I could say, hey, I'm going to do my flurry of blows, I want to add these strikes.
But wouldn't that also still cost 2? Because you'd spend the 1 to do flurry of blows, but you'd still have to spend a key point to then upgrade it to the poison strike. Or are you saying passively all of their flurry of blows should be poison damage?
Not all, but like one of your flurry of blows. You get 2 strikes.
But you think that should just be passive? You don't think that should have a cost?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think it should have a cost on top of using a key point for flurry of blows. I think that you're still spending a key point to do this thing. It's just in addition to flurry of blows. I don't think flurry of blows gives you enough on your own. And I think adding this to it is really great. And I think so many other subclasses in the monk class add on to flurry of blows in that way, that would be a really great way for this class to do that.
Okay, if that is how the others do it, then I would say that that's probably better to align with them. I mean, I'm never shy at adding more cost. I really do think that edition has an excess cost issue for players. Like, again, they try to package everything like you said, like they try to package it into, if you're already going to spend a key point, then you should already get something extra, where in my opinion it's like, well, the key point's the base cost. If you want to do something extra, it should cost more. But different styles of approach, right?
I totally get that. It just depends on the breadth of the economy you're giving somebody, right? If I give you like 2 cents, right, and like you're asked to buy something that costs 2 cents or 1 cent, like you because you have such fewer currency to use. Like the fewer currency you have to use, the more valuable using that currency is.
Exactly.
Right?
That's my point. It's like
I
think that it should be more valuable. Like if you want to get that, like it shouldn't be as easy to get it. It should be something that, like actually cost you, right? Because it again, for me, it's like that's your specialty. That's something that, like, now if we were to replace Flurry of Blows with a strike that cost a key point, like a single key point, but instead of doing Flurry of Blows, you do this Poison Fist instead. Like, again, that's kind of how I would almost do it, is just make them two different attacks. Then at that point, you can either do Flurry of Blows or you replace it by doing this. So, like, this is your special technique, right? Instead of packaging them together.
Sure.
But I know that goes against what you were saying, is you don't want to have to spend 2 key points if I wanted to do both of those in the same turn.
It's more of, I feel like no one is going to pay $1,000 for, you know, an apple, right? Because that's way too much money to spend on only getting an apple, right? So it's just like the cost valuation on how much you're spending and what you're getting for what you're spending, right? So if I, like, in D&D, like, just having one coin is not the same as having one copper or one silver or one gold, right? So the question is, what is a key point worth? Is it worth a gold? Is it worth a copper? Or is it worth a platinum, right? And if it is worth a platinum, I should be able to get more for what I'm spending. And that's my cost valuation in my head, is like, hey, because this resource that I'm spending is so rare and so valuable, I feel like I should be able to get more bang for my buck from what I'm spending. And so it's like, how worth it is it going to be for me to do either of these things if it is so expensive, or whatever the case may be. So that would be my only mindset, is like, yeah, I get to do cool things and I want to be able to do cool things. I just want to make sure that whatever it is that I'm spending these resources on, I'm getting enough value out of them that I feel like those pieces of currency are worth.
Yeah. So this one is just any unarmed strike. So I guess, yeah, it would really just depend upon if you wanted to make it more in line with the other monks, then yeah, probably add it as a bonus feature to the Flurry of Blows and keep it in line with that. So again, people are going to be more used to what it actually is. And it keeps, because Flurry of Blows is a bonus action, or is that that's a bonus action attack, right? Or is that like a...
Its mostly's purpose is to give you an additional strike, because fighters get a stupid number of strikes, and most other classes can only get 1 extra strike. So you get extra strike at 5th level like most other martial classes, but you also get Flurry of Blows, which allows you to do 2 attacks for your bonus actions. You can do 2 attacks with your main action and 2 attacks with your bonus action. And so you just get 4 attacks in total, but it helps you to do that. Like, you can choose to do that, or you can choose to do something special instead.
I see why they would add all of those bonus features into that then, for that sake.
Yeah.
Man, that was the old one. Never mind. All right, I got distracted for a second. All right. So, all right, so that's everything we get at level 3. So we get the ability to summon snakes, we get the ability to cast magic, we can upgrade our snake summons, and we can inflict poison damage with one of our attacks. Right out the gate, that's just what we get right out. Okay. At least we did get this. I am happy that we at least got 1 physical attack that brought it in, and it wasn't just, 100% focus on magic. So I want to see that come back and do something more with it, but we'll see. All right, so level 6, we have Subservient Serpent. A symbiotic relationship between a lord and their snakes is deeply rooted in not only trust, but also an understanding that without each other, both are more likely to die. You gain the Find Familiar spell. This does not count towards your number of known druid spells. As an action, you can spend 2 key points to conjure a familiar in the form of one of the following: Constrictor, Flying, or Giant Poisonous Snake. So basically the things that you can summon, you can now have that as a...
I will say that traditionally, the Find Familiar spell is something of a very low CR, and these creatures are much higher CR than you would normally ever be able to get with Find Familiar. So this is a huge boon and makes a lot of sense why it's coming at level 6 instead of level 3.
And why it's the only thing you're getting.
Yes. So having this basically, so it's almost like having like a beast companion type deal that you can like continually summon, and you just have the abilities that you would normally have with a find familiar spell, which means you can cast spells through it, you can look through its eyes, and you can do like some little other things like that, which is, I feel like, kind of on brand for what we're doing here, specifically if we're just doing you're specifically limiting it to these snakes.
Yeah, well, so let's see. So, I mean, this is the giant poisonous snake is a quarter CR, 11 hit points, and an AC of 14. Let's see. The constrictor snake, quarter CR, 13 hit points, armor class 12. Flying snake, 1/8 CR, 5 hit points, 14 AC. So yeah, these things also aren't like devastating. Like as a sixth, at sixth level, these are probably comparable. Like they're better than you at third level, but they're probably comparable to you now. But by 10th level, yes, it's still gonna be better than your average find familiar, but at the same time, it's not gonna be super game changing. I mean, it's a little bit more than a minion at that point. You know,
unless they find a way to upgrade this as we continue going through, which would be cool. I would super be down for that. But we'll see how it ends up actually going.
Yeah, so I don't mind that, especially. I mean, it does kind of suck that's the only thing you're getting, but you are getting all of the benefits of a familiar plus an additional person on combat, because even if it goes down, it's only 2 key points to get it back. So you never don't have this thing, basically. Like every, you get it back at every long
points back. Yes, that is top tier. That is top tier. And not even long rest, short rests, I think you get your key points back.
Yeah, so it's good.
Where? That's what I'm looking for.
No, that's probably it. Yeah, I think that's strong enough to be ace. I was trying to think of like, does it need anything additional? But I think that's strong enough, right? Both the find familiar and the ability to have something extra in combat, I think is the combo it needs to be self-sufficient at level 6.
For sure.
All right, so jumping to a level 11, we have Serpentine Techniques. Flurry of Blows. When you use Flurry of Blows feature, you can spend 1 additional key point to add 1d6 poison damage to each attack. I think reading this as it is, I think this would still stack well with how you mentioned the Poisonous Striking Fist. If this were tied already, so you already did extra poison damage equal to your martial die plus wisdom modifier, and then at level 11, you could spend additional key points and just keep, adding a d6 for every key point. That kind of stacking makes a lot of sense.
So it's a key point for each d6.
How I read that, it says when you use Flurry of Blows, you spend a key point to add a d6. But I look at that as that means if you can spend multiple key points, you can buff it more than once, right? Like, isn't that how key points usually work? I don't think there's usually something that you can't.
Yes, so it'll depend on if the fact that it said 1 key point was restricting it to 1 key point.
I mean, it says you can spend.
You're saying, and so it's kind of interesting the way this is worded, because I could read this a couple of different ways, and one of those ways is I can spend 1 additional key point to add 1d6 poison damage to each. That means I expend 1 key point, and every single one of my Flurry of Blows strikes gets 1d6 added.
That's what it sounds like to me. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's 1 key point for every attack of Flurry of Blows, but it doesn't also say that you can only spend 1. But I mean, I guess the verbiage is you can spend 1 to do it once. Like that's kind of how it implies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. However many attacks you have during Flurry of Blows, each one would get the additional d6. But like I said, I think this
originally thought it was you spend 1 to add it to this strike, and then you spend 1 to add it to this strike.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I was just saying, just keep adding d6s, so it would be 2 points to do a 2d6 each attack. But that might get overpowered too quick.
I actually think that would be kind of cool. Number one, you're only doing it on 1 turn, and like you're spending a decent number of your key points to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so, like, say if I wanted to spend 3 key points into it and like do some like serious damage. Number one, I have to hit, right? So if I miss one of those strikes, all those extra d6s are gone, and it's only for this Flurry of Blows, right? So, but if I do hit with one of them, then those d6, like I'm actually doing. So like it's a way for you to do some like big damage if you want to. Now, yeah, I might limit it at a certain point because I forget how many key points do you actually get by the end of everything. I think it's your level, so you'll eventually end up with 20 key points.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that would be one hell of a devastating hit. Just flurry of blows, 20d6. Bah, 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 bah. Or no, I mean, however many attacks you have. So I mean, 20d6 per attack. That would be a hell of a capstone feature.
Dude, that would be
Dude, Way of the Power Fist. That's what there should be a subclass called Way of the Power Fist. And the whole point is every level is working up to that, to where your capstone is, you can, for every key point, you up the die that you do with flurry of blows. So like your final capstone is just insane damage.
You do. It starts off at a D4, then it goes to a D6, then it goes to a D8, and it ends at a D10. So you never get to D12, but you get all the way up to a D10 with your flurry of blows strikes. And I was right, you do get a key point for every level, so you end with 20 key points.
Wow. And then they can, each of those attacks get another D6 on top of the D10. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was just one. We also get two other abilities. So we get also Patient Defense. When you use the Patient Defense feature, you can spend one additional key point to gain resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, and poison damage until the start of your next turn. I'm actually surprised that we didn't, at this point, get poison damage, resistance, or immunity.
Yeah.
Like that, I guess you could have gotten that. You could have gotten that along with your Subservient Serpent. Like now that you have a familiar, maybe you could have added poison resistance here. And then this just could have been immunity. Passively. Yeah. And then this could have been immunity when it's active.
Okay, actually, yeah, I do kind of like that.
So yeah, so just take poison damage resistance here, and then make this immunity when it activates. That'd be kind of cool. And then the last one, Step of the Wind.
Crazy.
What's up?
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I really, really like what they did with Patient Defense. Like, I almost think that non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage should be a part of like the base class at a certain level. When you do Patient Defense, like I think that is a really, especially when when your attacks become magical and stuff like that, and that's well by level 11. So
I mean, even just a subclass that had a more defensive look, where you could use key points to like activate that.
Yeah.
Spend a key point and then you can activate this resistance for a minute.
That's crazy.
So it's like, call it like body fortification or something, right? So you just spend a key point, and for the next minute you are resistant to these, or these non-magical damages. So almost kind of like your own little mini rage, where you just like pump your body full of ki, almost like a Super Saiyan, and it's just your energy level is so dense at your skin, you just don't get hit as hard. That would be a cool feature. So yeah, I'm down for that.
So cool. Okay.
We also get Step of the Wind. When you use Step of the Wind feature, you can spend one additional key point to gain a +2 bonus to concentration checks until the start of your next turn. I thought it was going to give you extra distance. I'm not really sure why you would spend a key point to get a +2 bonus to concentration checks until the start of your next turn.
I will say this. If you're using it to dash, then it would help you against concentration checks from opportunity attacks. So if I use Step of the Wind and I'm dashing, I'm trying to run away from a group of people, and I have to move within range of them so that they can do attacks of opportunity on me, then if I take that damage, I have to make a concentration check, and I am somewhat of a caster. And being that I can only really choose from enchantment and transmutation spells from the druid list, a lot of those are likely going to be concentration spells. So being able to have improved concentration checks, I feel like when it does, it says specifically to concentration, not constitution.
Yeah,
I thought it said constitution
checks, yeah. For some reason. So it must be for attack of opportunities, like slithering your way through people.
That's the only thing I can think of, but I do kind of agree with you. I would just say something because like there's plenty of other things that do this, and it wouldn't be that crazy for level 11. Just say that
Prevent attack
you don't
of
provoke
opportunity.
opportunity attacks when you step of the wind. You know,
Step of the wind, extra, or just when you use step of the wind feature, spend additional key point, and you won't proc opportunity attacks. That's all it has to say.
Yeah, there you go.
I would be down for that. I think that's actually a really good use of step of the wind. That would be a lot better. All right, and then we get our capstone. Snake Lords of Venom, level 17. The deeper connection you've gained with your slithering counterparts has seeped into your magics and boosted their hazardous effect. Whenever you would roll damage on a cantrip or spell, add an additional 1d10 poison damage. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack or spells that deals poison damage, you can re-roll one of the attack's damage die. You must use the new roll. Additionally, you ignore resistance to poison damage and treat poison damage immunity as resistance.
Okay. So it's almost like shifting everything down except you don't get vulnerability.
Correct.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like the... It says when you hit a creature with an attack or spell that deals poison damage. I like the re-rolling of the die. There is a feat that does something very similar, but it's more than just one die you can re-roll. And I don't know. I mean, half the time you're really only rolling one die. But I mean, at level 17, you'll definitely be rolling higher than that. Like cantrips already do multi things of damage. I'm trying to think about if at a certain point cantrip damage outpaces your... No, because you're still doing higher dies. I'm trying to see if it outpaces your damage to the point where you'd never do melee attacks again and you'd only ever do cantrips, because the cantrips do so much more damage or have so much more damage potential than your melee attacks. But you're also increasing the damage die you're using for your melee attacks. So you're starting off with a D4 and you're ending with a D10. And if I can do 4 attacks, then with a D10, although I'm only doing 2 attacks with my attack action, so I could do a cantrip and then flurry of blows. And maybe that's how they want you to play. Maybe that's like their mindset. It's like, hey, run a cantrip with your action. Yes, it's only 1, but you get these like multiple dice to roll for damage, and then use your flurry of blows for anything else that you want to do. And you can re-roll some of those damage dice, because some of that is going to be poison damage too.
Yeah, like
see that
describing it like that, I get the synergy they're trying to go for, but I think, at least in the approach, I really think the turning this into a spellcaster kind of got lost on me. Like, other than for the summoning, I'm kind of lost on why we're a druid caster, and I feel like the spellcasting component doesn't do much. I really feel like it's the snakes and this, like, these extra damage bumps.
Yeah.
But I'm really not feeling, and then even this, right? Like,
So,
up until our capstone, which helped us get more damage out of our spells, we really don't do anything with magic ever. Like,
I almost
like
forgot we were a spellcaster until we hit that. Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like we have our snakes that we can summon. We have an attack. We have an upgrade to our snakes that we can summon. We have these basic upgrades that you would expect from a monk with key points, and then finally more damage when you cast spells. So while I'm down for the summoner, I'm just, why are we a spellcaster? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the lore of them, like, mixing it in.
I will read you some of the spells that you get access to with the spell list that they've talked about. So they specifically said Druid spell list, and they specifically said Transmutation and Conjuration. So I'm really sad you don't get... Oh, you do get Poison Spray. So you get Poison Spray as a cantrip, which really fits the theme and I feel like works. You get something called Shillelagh, which is a really cool spell that I actually used on one of my monks, which basically says I can turn a quarterstaff into a magic weapon, and now I can use my wisdom modifier for attacks instead of strength or dexterity. And monks love wisdom, and so that specific spell could be very valuable for a monk if they wanted to do some extra damage. You've got things like Entangle, which are cool. You got things like Fog Cloud, and if somehow you were able to gain access to Blind Sight, that could be a lot of fun for you to play with. You get Long Strider, which gives you more movement speed. You get Bark Skin, which gives you more defense.
Like, I'll be honest, so far, only those like first 2 or 3 makes the most sense. Like Shillelagh makes the most sense in Poison Spray. Like, honestly, like, I'm just so far out of reading that, I'm like, why didn't you just give me those? Like, because those make perfect sense for this class. The others, I'm just like, again, the others was like, yeah, that's magic, but that's not, well, you know, that's not
like,
really
you
what
can
I
do cool stuff with something like Spike Growth. Like, I feel like that's an interesting spell to give these people, because normally you use that as a combination with a druid, and then you like run really fast, grappling somebody all the way around the Spike Growth to do your little cheese grater thing.
Yeah.
But you know, Call Lightning, you know, Plant Growth, Sleet Storm. So like a lot of this stuff, again, I feel like almost like, because if I had Call Lightning as a snake monk, I feel like that's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Even something like Spike Growth as a snake monk, like I don't feel like necessarily fits theme for like what I'm doing here.
Like the fog
So
kind of
I
makes
feel
sense
like,
on a thematic level, but I'm thinking on a mechanical
yes,
level. Like I said, I've really going through this. Like I dig the concept. Like again, I dig the idea of going the snake route. I like the focus on poison, but I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like I'm struggling to see the picture here of, you know, these monks hidden away, learning the way of the snake, and all they do is poison you and summon other snakes. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not seeing the picture how the magic comes in other than calling snakes, and I'm not seeing how that really is represented in any particular. I mean, we kind of got it in the Step of the Wind, like we were talking about. Like it's meant for attacks of opportunities, so that's kind of like weaving your way in. You know, you're slithering your way through. But I don't know. I you know, like I guess the patient defense. I mean, I guess you could say it's like scales. You know, like, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to put together both the lore, and I'm also trying to like put myself in the mindset of a character that comes from this, and I'm really struggling to like really see it all as one piece.
When we were creating our Goku, and we found the Way of the Sun Soul that
totally
basically gave us everything. Yeah. I will say that subclass is the most magic-y subclass that monks have outside of this one. And what they did is, instead of giving them spell casting, was basically create spell-like abilities. Right? And I think that approach may have been more effective for what it feels like they were trying to do. You know what I mean? Like, create these spell-like abilities that you can use with your key points and all this stuff to be able to do things that make you feel like you are a snake lord.
Like, what would have been really interesting,
control these snakes, you know,
is like you were saying, make everything the same, but swap out all of the concept of spells and just give them more key points. Give them more key points and then more things to spend it on. So kind of like what you were talking about, how it's about the action economy. So what if all of this stuff, right? So what if Flurry Blows still costs your normal key point, but you can add a key point to do that extra poison damage, but you come preloaded with more key points than the average monk. So everything that you want to do costs key points, but you already come front loaded with more.
How about, what would you think about this? Because I feel like giving them more might make it feel like out of balance if you're on a team with another monk. It's like, oh yeah, you only have this many and I got... What if it was something like something that you did as a monk? Maybe anytime you did more than 10 points of poison damage on a turn, you got a key point back.
Oh yeah. Or just like yeah, or we've talked about that before, a regeneration option, because you know, it's like I love the summoning. I love the idea that you can summon snakes, and I don't mind that you can summon them, whether it's magical or, you know, you just call forth from nature. I just, you know, again, I really don't understand. I have never really seen the monk class and said, you know what this thing needs? Magic. Because I feel like that's the whole point of monk, is they went a different route. They didn't use magic. They used their soul. They used their own energy. So I know we're all about sublet and subclasses, but it only, like, when it makes sense, right? When there's a backstory that feels too isolated and not open up enough. But monks, if you want a monk to learn magic, the whole point is you dedicated your life to your internal flow. So you'd have to go multi-class. Like sometimes there's just, like, I don't think fighters need magic. I don't think there needs to be a magic fighter class, right? That's another area where you could easily, because, you know, there's other classes that can do a little mixy, right? The Arcane Trickster actually made a lot of sense, in my opinion, right? Those are one of those areas where that made a lot of sense. So yeah, so with this one, I'm a little bit lost on where the magic is really supposed to, like, come in. I love the idea of this, the way of the snake. I wish we got a little bit more on the physicality side, like a grapple would have been cool, like a bonus grapple, because, you know, you're just able, again, even just like you have advantage on grapple checks. You know,
dude, imagine if you like went to grapple someone and then like a snake wrapped around your arm and wrapped around their arm, you know what I mean? Like,
or just like you did, right? Like someone punches you and you go and, you know, they punch, and instead of you grabbing and then like forcing them, like you actually grab and then just your hands just like slither around them and you're just like, nope, now I got you. Like you just know grappling in a way that no one else does, right? Like that would have been cool.
I would also love an ability that's kind of like Entangle, but instead of like restraining them, it like basically envelops them in a swarm. Because like we rarely get to see like the swarm mechanic actually used, and imagine if like a creature could just like have these snakes come up and like swarm somebody all of a sudden, and like I would have to look up swarm mechanics a little bit more, because I know they can occupy the same space as you, and if you stay within that space, like does certain damage or whatever. But I don't know. I think that would be cool. At least something to that effect.
Yeah. Talk with animals, I think is also kind of missing. I mean, that may have been something that they can get from the druid spell list. But again, like they should have come baked in that they can talk with animals as long as they're snakes. Like you could just, as you know, as a cantrip or as a passive, you can talk with animals as long as they're snakes. Yeah. Animal handling as long as they're snakes. Like there's so many things I think that could have done better than trying to make it a spellcaster. And again, it's just like I would have liked more opportunities to use my key on more stuff, right? Because really it's these three, or it's the summoning the snakes. That's all I'm using my key points on, is these three things by level 11, or upgrading my snakes. But I don't really have, I mean, again, or poisoning. Like, I just feel like there could have been more for this. So I'm also gonna say this. So, do I think it's bad? No. I think it's a good idea. I think Way of the Snake is definitely exciting. I personally just don't see the connection to a druid spellcaster, quartercaster. I that's just lost on me, and maybe it's just the way that I look at the deep layers of lore for High Point, because again, this is just a compatibility score. So looking at the layers, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense how it would come about and how these things would mix together. It's not quite the pairing I would see as being synergistic.
Sure.
But I do see the hype for a spellcasting monk. Like, don't get me wrong, I see the hype for it. I just don't think it's necessary hype. But again, I've multi-classed monk spellcasters. There's a need. I prefer doing it multi-classing myself. But otherwise, I mean, it's cool. Snakes are cool. And the fact that you get a summon and a familiar, that's kind of cool. Like, that's dope. Like, you basically are adding so much more to the battlefield. The thing is, actually, wait, did we get when you read launch snakes, can you only launch one at a time? Like, how many things can I summon at once?
Oh, let me so you can, when you first do this, you summon 2 of them. There's 2 of them, and I'm pretty sure you can choose a target for each of them.
But if I do this a second time on my next round, do those first 2 stay on the battlefield?
There's nothing that says they go. Okay, it says when you cast the spell using a slot of 2nd level or higher, you summon and launch 2 additional snakes for each slot level above 1st.
Okay.
So at 2nd level it's 4, at 3rd level it's 6.
Does it say how long those snakes last?
It does not.
Because that's the thing, is like, how long do they last? Do they just go away after the fight? Do they follow you? Because that's the other thing too, is like, I also kind of don't see, you only get your snake familiar and then a few snakes that you can summon. It would be kind of cool to depend on like, to know specifically how many I could get. Because most summon spells aren't, because it's not a, that's not a concentration. Because I could see it being if it was concentration, you probably couldn't cast it again. But normally anything
concentration on the first one.
But yeah, and normally anything with the anything that has like stuff that you summon, normally it would say that if you try to do it again, the first dies, right? Like any kind of like construct or something.
Yes.
But this didn't. So I'm really curious to see how many we theoretically could get on the battlefield.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Boom. 3rd level. It's concentration for an hour. Okay, so what I was going to say for something like this is I would probably use the same type of restriction that they use for conjure animals.
Agreed.
If there is no concentration and if it is instantaneous, I would say it lasts for a minute or until they die.
Fair point.
Right? Now, if it is for concentration, let it last for an hour. Let
Easy,
you walk around a dungeon
absolutely.
with these things. Like, that's no big deal. But because it's just going to be at whatever level you cast it, and it's going to be like the most you could ever get. So say you wanted to cast this at 4th level, once you get your highest level slot available to you, you're going to get 8 of these suckers out. You get 8 of these little poisonous snakes running around, and you can turn them into the giant ones, you can turn them into constrictor ones, you can turn them into the flying ones. Great, you can do all of those things. But that's the most you're ever going to get. I don't think an hour's too crazy for that.
No, and that makes sense to use it out of combat, to like, like set, because again, like with the ability to like summon it and have it do something for you for a little bit, like there's benefits there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even mind too, like the opportunity for this starting at, let's see, you get at 6th level, you get the companion, right? Find familiar.
Yeah,
I would love it at level 11, where it upgrades that to where you can have a number of familiars equal to like your proficiency bonus. So every day you can add a new snake. Because I mean, these things aren't super crazy powerful, but imagine if you could walk into a battlefield with 6 of these. I know that sounds like a lot, but I mean, they're 14 AC with 11 hit points. These things aren't stupid crazy.
I actually think that's like crazy fire, especially if that's what you want to spend your key points on. Like, imagine if like that's how a character chose to play, is like, hey, I'm going to be the dude that's like maybe I'm just in the freaking shadows the whole time. Nobody even knows what's going on, but there's just snakes that just start coiling around them out of freaking nowhere. And you kill one of them, and then guess what? I spend another 2 key points and bring it back again. And now they're just continuing to climb on top of you. Like you could be so creative and thematic about how you do this.
Right. And you can even make it to where, like, if you wanted to, if you think that's too powerful, make it to where it's 2 permanent key points as long as it's up. So if you get your normal find familiar, which is free, right? You just cast it, you get a free familiar, but you can have up to 6. So if I spend 2 key points to get a second one, I don't have access to those 2 key points until it dies or until I dismiss it. So it's like I can summon it, get a second familiar, but now I permanently have lost access to 2 key points until that familiar is either dismissed or dies. But if you imagine that, that means that I could burn like half my key points permanently, but like you said, not even be in the battle and still have 6 targets on the battlefield before I'm even revealed. And it's only going to cost me, yes, it'll cost me 10 key points, but if you got 20 by the time you're level 20, yes, you burned half of them permanently, but you're still a monk. You're just a monk with 6 other locations on the battlefield. I think that's fine giving up 10 key points, like half your key points permanently to have 6 other of you. I'm just saying that would be worth it to me. Is at level 11, because it's also like at level 11 now you only have 11 key points, so you're not going to blow all your key points on this just yet, but you might be willing to survive with 9 so you could have 2 familiars. That sounds reasonable.
Sure.
And then by level 17, maybe you could sacrifice 3 or 4 and have 4 familiars, and then by level 20 you're fine having 5 familiars, 6 snakes, just constant. And then you do that thing where they're like always on you, so you like wear one as a belt, you like wear one all around your, so you just walk around with like robes, no one knows anything, and then you're just like, hey, can I go get that? Can you imagine you just like get something at the bar, and then you're just like, and then they put the bar down, and then you're just like, oh, here, let me pay you, and then a snake crawls out like out of your robe and then like drops money on and then just slithers back in, be like, don't worry about it. Like, oh, it's like,
that's so clean.
Can you imagine like someone tells you a secret and they're like, hey, I need to go tell this person, be like, hang on a second, and then you just like put your arm out, a snake slithers out of your sleeve, and then it just leaves, and you're like, he knows, he'll be told in 5 minutes. And then like 10 minutes later the snake comes back and be like you literally just,
one of the spells you could cast was message, and you just basically cast message through your freaking snake.
Yeah,
and they just like whisper secrets into your other people's. That's
because you could just send them at any time.
That's the move.
Dude, can you imagine just sitting at the, again, if they're all just on you but underneath your clothes, can you imagine just sitting at the bar and be like, hey, I'm gonna put my foot on the ground, I'm gonna tell my snake to go through my pant leg and into the bar, and then go over to that corner and listen in on that conversation. Dude, imagine it. You could just have like a black asp just come out of your leg, sneak across the bar, along the side of the tavern, like in the corner, and then just go chill in a corner right next to whoever you want to listen to. And you would just be able to sit in on that conversation and be like, yep, all right, cool, come back. And then it just slithers back to you, goes right up your leg, no one knows anything. Or you walk by the table and be like, oh, hey, gentlemen, how's it going? Do you need anything? Nope. And, it's like you're just chit-chatting as the snake comes back up your leg, and then you're like, oh, I got my snake back. Bye, guys. And then you just leave. No one knows the wise of it. You were, like, straight up just listening in. That would be worth it. Something like that is what I would want.
That would absolutely be worth it.
And that could replace all of the magic. I wouldn't need magic if I got that level of control of familiars in my summons, right? If I just got the basic summons, like I think it would be better. It would have been better if we went with the summons. Like you said, give me the summons, give me the poison spray, give me shillelagh, and maybe one other spell, but then lock me out. Like, give me a set technique that does this, not spell casting, and then let me pump it full. Like, yeah, because if you gave me the poison strike, the ability to have bonus on grapples, and the ability to basically have a mini army of snakes, I'd be much more invested and willing to work with this and try to make it work than a spellcasting monk that just knows about snakes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it didn't quite dive deep enough into the deep end. You know what I mean? It's not in the shallow waters.
Yeah.
But it just didn't dive enough into this thing is all about snakes.
Fair enough.
Some sort of like little snake army would be cool. Though we did kind of go over it. It does sound like you could just pump the battlefield full of like 100 snakes if you have enough spells, because you could just rapid fire this as long as you have the key points for it. I mean,
lightweight. All
right, so again, I think it's playable. I think there is an audience out there for this. I think there is a player out there who would look at this and be all for it. Part of me thinks that it's just not enough, but it's also too much, right? I don't think it needs the spell casting. I really wish it did a little bit more with the snake control. It's not in a state where I would say that someone's gonna read this and go, nah, I would never do it. Like, it's not one of those where there's obviously a better choice, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. That's the problem. It just, overall, thematically and lore-wise, it just doesn't connect the dots. the way that I would want it to. So got to take that for what it is. Again, it's not bad. It's not imbalanced. It's just not the direction I would have gone. So yeah, take that for what you will, Des. Sorry for the
Fair enough. Fair enough.
it might skew your average, but hopefully it's only going to be a one time. What's up?
What was the score we ended on?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if it really gets the inspiration point, just because I don't know. Yeah, I'm not able to really pull anything out of this that would really make anything change. So yeah, I mean, it's not that it's broken, it's not that it's bad, it's just really not compatible with High Point in terms of how it presents and how it flows. So I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 10. It's not completely broken and busted. It's not completely unusable. I wouldn't and I couldn't in its current fashion. And kind of like I just said, I'd pretty much have to rewrite it from scratch. You know what I mean? I'd have to strip the magic of it. I'd have to refocus the summoning, and then add in a few of those extra bit. Like at that point, it is just kind of like, if I need a monk up with the Way of the Snake. And honestly, it's kind of one of those things too. My realm just doesn't need something like this, where this would be more of like a player who wants to build that out would more likely have success than this kind of a template. And that's just because, again, it's not really something that needs a templated aspect in High Point right now. So again, that is not a point of whether or not this is good. It is not a point of whether it's balanced. That is just a compatibility score with whether or not I can adopt it into High Point. But hopefully that doesn't bring down Dez's average. I think they have a pretty high average anyway, so I'm sure they're not in trouble.
Let's look.
I'm assuming if worst case, they're going to go from like a 7 to a 6 at the worst.
Their average is still a 7. Their average is still a 7.
Didn't even change. Des, what are you worried about? Why are you worried, Des? Stop worrying. Nothing changed.
Wild.
Des ain't even here. Just Des sitting there on the VOD channel like, Vortex, what's going on, man? I'm sorry, I didn't say anything. But no, that was cool. I like the idea of it. Again, solid idea. I just think the delivery didn't work for me. But maybe it worked for you. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in chat what y'all thought about it. Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounded a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say like up your alley, but it definitely sounds more compatible with, I think, the way you might want to run a monk.
Absolutely. It really is. Like there is a closeness to, like, I feel like I understand like the vision that somebody's going with what they're trying to create, and like when I put that vision to fruition in my mind, like I feel like I can get there potentially easier than you would be able to, because like I might include, like you said, some of the spells. I might remove like the overall like spell slots and stuff like that people are using for like quartercasters and stuff like that, and I might replace it with, kind of like we were talking about, just some different spell effects. But yeah, I totally think I could make use of what's here to build something that I would put in the Cineverse for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's a place for it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the combination of like monk druid, I see as a viable use, and I see as a viable combination. It just, again, it wasn't really done in a way that makes sense for the other things that I've created, but I do see that was probably the best move they could have made, is going druid. That did seem to have the closest representation to anything else they could have chosen.
I do think that made a lot of sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, definitely a fair point on that. Yeah, there's just fascinating. And the other thing too is, like, I know it sounds weird, but there was no like additional movement ability. Like, they weren't able to climb. They didn't get any increased movement speed. I mean, they did get the Step of the Wind feature, kind of, but you know what I mean? Just like,
sure.
What other than this poison strike, again, they didn't really get anything that showed me that they had studied snakes. You know, like there's no like quick strike where you could like imagine for any unarmed strike, you could spend a key point and gain a +2 to hit because you move faster, right? Like a snake, right? You recoil back and then you can just and then just like a snake, your hit is different. It's not as telegraphed. That could have been a very easy one to implement, to just say that you get a bonus to hit someone with an additional key point, because like a snake, you can, like hide your effect. Like a snake curls up before they do it. Imagine like your fighting style instead of hands up is like this, like hands are curled. So when you lash out, it's not as obvious. But that could have been something that could have been really nice to have. Again, I love the fact that they did add the poison damage to the key.
Agreed.
Just a little bit more. Like just one more thing. One more thing would have been, again, I think the grapple would have been amazing. Advantage on grapple, I think definitely would have set that so well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I guess it's a little. I don't know. I have a little bit of issue with how grapple is done in 5th edition as it is right now, and that's something eventually I would like to look at in my own realm and.
Did they change it
down how I want it to look?
Did they change it in 24?
Like. 24, I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I would love to know that.
I wonder if they changed grapple in 2024. It would make sense. It would really make sense that would be something, because I think that's always been kind of a point of contention in 5. Is I don't think you're alone in thinking that grapple could have been improved. I've always
like it's so wishy-washy how it works. There's some DMs that are like, hey, the attacker has to use dex, the defender has to use strength, or vice versa, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And there's some people where it's like, because I kind of like the idea of contested checks, but hold on, let's see, rules glossary, is it grappling 2024? All right, a creature can grapple another creature. Characters typically grapple using unarmed strike. Okay. Many monsters have special attacks that allow them to quickly grapple. However, a grapple is initiated. It follows these rules. Grapple conditions. Successfully grappling a creature gives the grapple condition. One grapple per hand. A creature must have a hand free to grapple another creature. Some stat blocks and game effects allow a creature to grapple using a tentacle or a maw or something else like that.
I just had a great idea for a subclass.
A grappler subclass?
No, fighter subclass. The wrestler. So imagine like the wrestler, right? You like grappling is like how you do all your stuff, right? Like imagine that you could still do your your regular attacks and everything, but when you grapple someone, do you know how you can attack them when you grapple? But what if like when you're grappling them, you had like an extra action or whatever, you are grappling someone and you successfully attack that, or so whenever you are successfully in a grapple and then you successfully hit someone 3 times while they're grappled by you, you could then attempt to pin them. And essentially, it's kind of like putting them in one of those positions to where you either permanently maim them or they give up. So you could snap their arm, you could break their leg, or literally make them pass out. But imagine so you start with the grapple, and then you have to maintain the grapple while also attacking them. And then after enough attacks, you basically trigger an end condition that lets you attempt to pin them, kind of like a DC save. And if you can pin them... Because you could like disarm them that way, or you could just end the battle. But there's so like, imagine just being able to like put someone in a chokehold or an armbar mid combat. Doesn't have to be on the ground, right? But just this idea that you could use the grapple for more than just stopping their movement.
I have been working on some just in the background. Like I've always thought that I grapple once on one turn, and then I grapple again, right? Whenever I grapple the second time, the first you have the grapple condition. The second you have the restrained condition. Because that's when I'm actually getting you in a lock or a hold or something like that. But as a result, I am fully tying up both of my hands, and I can no longer perform attacks.
So you basically take both of you out of the game.
Hands to do that. Yes, so like I'm sacrificing something in order to restrain you like this, but when I'm in this position, I have the ability to put certain types of pressure on you to do certain things. Monks would be able to do like pressure point things in these positions. Fighters would probably be able to do like arm lock things in these positions. Like there's all different types of stuff that I think could be done in a space like this. And I think this is also where it lives, the ability to do something like the coup de grace. So if you're like a rogue and you find some way to do this and get like the knife around somebody's throat, like I think those types of things are like so lost in 5th edition. There's no way to like just take somebody out like that.
And that would be that's why I think it'd be cool to have like a series of checks that you have to do that after enough of them in succession, then it basically ends that. Because again, it's then yes, it's worth doing, but it also takes you out of the rest of the combat, and you still don't guarantee it, right? It's not like you just get 3 successful rolls and it's done. It would be like you said, like you grapple once, you grapple twice, now you're in a contested grapple, and then you have to then win so many contested to then put them in a pin, and then you have to win the pin in order to make them subdued, right? So it's almost like there would be like 3 layers of it, where you have to grapple, then you have to contest, then you have to pin, then you have to then you have to like actually subdue. And if that was a worthwhile event for that player and didn't disrupt the rest of the game, like they can do that while everyone takes out the minions, kind of thing, that would be really fucking worth it. But I also would say that if you're going to go that far, unlike normal grapples, I would say that in this particular case, if you are going to do all of that, then anybody who tries to attack the person you're grappling, it's a 50-50 chance on if they hit you.
Yes, and I would say this. They have advantage to hit him, but they also have advantage to hit you.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, so 50-50 chance. So when they swing on the group, they're going to roll advantage, but they're also going to roll 50-50, and they will roll advantage against both of you, and whoever gets hit gets hit. Like, because again, then it makes it less likely that you're just going to do this every time and then have everyone dogpile. You can't do that because you're in the midst of it, so you can't just have everyone dogpile.
You know what I kind of like? Because it's 50-50, I would like you just roll the attack, right? At advantage or whatever the case may be. And, okay, so I don't know how I feel about this. Because I was thinking about choosing evens or odds for it to be like you or the enemy, right? So I roll my d20, and if it's 15, it's odds, it's you. If it's 14, it's evens, it's the other person. But I was also thinking, like, if it happened to be at advantage and one was evens and one was odds, what would be like?
So the way I would do it there,
you could choose which dice it was.
The way I would do it,
dice like beat the AC or something like that.
So the way I would do it is you're gonna roll advantage and you're gonna take the higher one as the hit. But the second die rolled indicates who's gonna get hit. And what you do is you roll the first die, right? And you count and you figure out what the number is. If the second die rolled is above the first number, you hit the enemy. If it's below the first number, you hit your ally. But you still use the higher of the two to do the hit. So if you rolled a 20 on the first hit, you're more likely going to hit the enemy.
Advantage, but you're okay. Yeah. I like that.
But if you rolled, like, let's say a 19, or let's say you rolled a 2 on the first one, you're more likely about to hit your ally. Unless you roll a 1 on the next one, then you're like, okay, I missed both of you. But again, if you roll a 2 and then a 19, or no, sorry, if you roll a 19 and then a 2, you're going to use the 19, but because the second roll was lower, you hit your ally. So that would be it, right? You're rolling for advantage, but if the second die is higher than the first, you hit the enemy. If it's lower than the first, you hit your ally. So that way it's completely fucking random. 100%, that is the most random you can make it.
I agree. I would almost flip it only thematically, because I think that, like, hey, So usually what happens when you roll advantage is my first roll is my original attempt to hit, and then my second roll is like the stars aligning so that I actually hit the target. So if my first attack was shit and I rolled like a 2 or whatever, that's me hitting my ally. And then my second roll, if it happens to be a 19, like the first roll is a 2 and I just miss, right? But if the second roll is a 19, then it saved me, but not enough to not hit my ally. So I hit my friend.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
if
it
my
doesn't.
first
Yeah.
roll is like really, it's the same difference. But like that was my original thought. But yeah,
But that's how
really
I
like
would
that.
do
I
it.
really
Is
like
it
that
was
solution.
don't add an extra roll, just make it part of the advantage roll, right? Just basically say that when you roll,
Force them to like do one at a time, but still.
because once you roll both of them, it doesn't really matter. You just choose one to be your base number, and then the second, and then the other one is the one that you're hoping, chooses which person you're going to do, and then you still take the higher one to do the hit. So, yeah, cool thought though. But yeah, I think we should talk about maybe a wrestler or some kind of like actual subclass for that, because I do think a grapple focused subclass that can like disarm and grapple creature. I mean, can you imagine like the idea of like being able to like grapple like mounted creatures that are big enough to mount kind of thing? Where, you know what I mean? Just there's so many things that you could make unique in that. Not necessarily that it needs to be used everywhere, but I do think that there's a special use case for that kind of a class.
I swear there was something like that, but I might be wrong. I'm not seeing it. I thought it was either a fighter or a barbarian class, but I'm not seeing it under either of those. So, although I am still looking at 2024, I'll have to go back to the other one. But
well, we can find out in the future when we try to build it, because we'll do the research.
True that.
But that was a good one. My dinner just got here, so unless you have anything for the folks, I think it's a good spot to end it.
Absolutely. Would you see?
Oh, we got a DM question from Cart. Starting out, did we ever have a problem player? I ever had a problem player? Yes, I've had 2 technically since I've started. I got better at choosing my players. No, maybe I've actually had more than that. Because there was a couple times that I've gone through some people that just didn't vibe very well with the game. I would say my biggest problem player, my number one out of all the issues I've had, my biggest problem player was somebody who was so confident in what they knew and how to play D&D because they had been involved in other people's games, and they had also been like a Discord mod for a D&D Discord server. So they came in very hot and heavy into my session as you don't have to tell me anything, I know what I'm doing. And they had also brought in a friend who I was more excited to play with than they were. Like I had invited the friend, and this person came along because that friend didn't do anything without this other person, is from what I understand from the rest of the other group. But yeah, basically I didn't even really care about this other person. I had invited the other one. But this tag along came along, very hot-headed, very I know everything, blah blah blah. I don't need, you guys don't need to help. I do what I do. I offer my assistance. I let them know that there's some extra specialties if they want to discuss it. But this individual not only didn't want any interest in my help, but also convinced the other person that they don't need my help at all and that they'll be able to walk through. And then as the game proceeded, problems arose because they didn't understand the rules. They didn't read the resources I gave them. And while everybody did the thing that I had offered, which was, hey, I can work with you on your backstory to give you a more in-depth connection to the world. So while everyone was walking around with NPCs that knew their name and backstories and things that they could utilize, these two were just sitting there like, well, what can we do? And I'm like, what can you do? You said you had this, like, you wanted nothing to do with it. I offered you multiple session zeros to get involved in the game, and you thought, oh no, I know what I'm doing. And then again, the player that I had invited originally, like, they actually reached out to me at one point, started to work on an idea for me, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That actually makes perfect sense, because what you want they were talking about their backstory and like how they wanted to have like happened. And I'm like, actually, that works because there was an event that happened, and that event ended in such and such a way that would have actually tied right back into your backstory. So yeah, that's basically what happened. That I already have that written in. I'll just let you be a part of that event. And they were like so taken up. Yeah, they were so taken aback by it. They were like, wait, it's like, so that literally happened like in the story. And I'm like, yeah, like you're again, I it's so weird sometimes that people really do play this game so detached from the story that way. Like they literally do not see their character as being part of the world. They're just a lens to see it as.
They're playing a video game, man. They're playing a video game. It's so crazy.
It's really, it's not something I'm used to. So when they just were so taken aback by a real NPC that lived in the world, that knew them in the past, and that was part of it, I'm like, yeah, that's all there, my guy. Like that's how I work. But that's the stuff that people miss out on when they, don't want to take the time. So I would say that individual was my worst player, my worst problem player, just because they made it difficult for everybody in the room. This is even the person, actually, you want to talk about even a word, that was my first introduction with them, was all of that. The thing that made it like really cut it off for me and just made me kind of like not want them around anymore is when they would make social commentary and commentary about other players. Again, this individual who supposedly has done all of this crazy, I'm a mod for Discord and I've been doing this for years and I know everything, couldn't understand something as simple as you wanting to sound like you have an accent. So in your typing, you changed up a few letters to sound like you had an accent, and they just couldn't fucking handle that. They literally couldn't fucking handle it, that you wanted to sound foreign. And it wasn't like they thought it was insulting. They just were like, why? They literally were like, why are you doing that? Why is every like letter wrong like that? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are you typing like that? It's like, it's an accent. It's like, yeah, but like accents, that doesn't necessarily work that way. That's not a real accent. I'm like, this isn't a real world. Like, I gave them an example of like, it's just to indicate as if like they come from another country. It's like, it's just a way to indicate an accent. And they snapped back like, that place doesn't have that kind of an accent. Like, what do you mean? This isn't the real world, you dumb bitch. Like literally, it was something so, and people, it was something so stupid. Kage was literally just changing W's to V's. That's it. Every W was a V. Yeah. That's fucking it. Every time he typed for roleplay purposes, he would just switch W's and V's. That's it. And she couldn't fucking handle it. She couldn't. She's, why are you doing that? This doesn't make any sense, even though it was legible. And then when we said it was just to be like an accent, like, just think of it as someone from, and I don't even remember what country I said. I just imagine it's like if someone was trying to learn your, the language from this country and they were just getting it wrong. And they were like, that's not how they speak. It's like, I know. He's not them. He's a fictional. I fucking lost my shit at that. I'm just like, you were ruining this fucking game over goddamn nothing. It's not like you were trying to act some sort of like, unreasonable stereotype. You were literally, you didn't even say who you were trying to be like. You just said, I want it to be obvious that I'm not from here. That was literally it. And they just couldn't, they couldn't accept it. They could not accept it. And that's when I'm just like, you're a fucking problem. And that's really why that gaming session didn't last.
It's definitely hard. It's really hard when, like you said, people come in with like their preconceived notions of like how things are supposed to be. And I'll say the biggest problem I've had at a table is not exactly that, but it's mostly when people come to my table. I feel like it stems from the same place, but it's like when people come to my table and they're there to be the star of the show instead of to build something together. And that happens to me more often than I would like, because I'm not as choosy. Like a lot of the times my players find me and I'm there to facilitate a place for them to be. And, I enjoy doing that, right? I enjoy trying to find ways to make what my players want to do work. And so, but when it becomes like a thing where you are trying to push out, shove away, or lord over other players in the game, like that comes to a point where it's like, you're not just trying to enjoy the game for yourself, you're trying to detract the game from other people, and
player
that's
clout.
not something that that's not something that I want to participate in. That's not what it's something that I want my other players to have to go through. So that's at the point where it's like, hey, I have to set this up so that the people that are playing this game that want to be here and that want to be a part of this game can actually have a good time.
I feel like people need to realize that, it's no longer, it's very similar to Magic the Gathering. It's no longer the days where the complex, complicated, overpowered builds are creative and impressive anymore, right? Like back in the day with Magic the Gathering, like that's what separated really good players from the casual players, is knowing how to build a deck, spending the hours at the stores, the hours reading the magazines, the hours hand picking everything to your specifications.
Yes, Lich Light Syndrome. The act of sucking others' souls for your vitality and pleasure.
Exactly.
Wild.
That's what happened with Magic the Gathering, is it eventually got to the point to where it got so oversaturated that the best decks now are online templates, right? Like the best decks are just pre-built and immediately scoured and manipulated in every possible way. Like every time someone talks about a deck, it's like, yeah, that's not impressive anymore. Like it's not. There's too much OP to have, and D&D is kind of that way. When you have someone who comes in like, oh, you guys can't wait for this thing, it's like no one fucking cares. No one thinks that you actually built that. Most people think you either popped it in ChatGPT or you read a forum, but no one's interested because no one actually believes that you own all the books, read all of them, and again, when they're just subclasses, unless it's homebrew, no one fucking cares what you chose, because guess what? It's all pre-written for you. It was so easy for you to do that. Like in the older edition, at least you had to hobble together like 10 different resources to actually make sense of it. Now you just choose 2 subclasses with the best mix of everything, and you think that, you're fucking clever. You're just like, oh yeah, look at this amazing creature I did. I took 2 basic subclasses and smashed them together. Woo, I'm crazy. You can't stop my complexity. It's like you literally took 2 templates and just went the best pieces of each. That's not creative. And I think that's the problem, is these main heroes come in and they just forget that no one's impressed. No one cares that you one-shotted the BBEG. Unless it's thematically fun, no one cares if you one-shot the BBEG. Like,
I'll say
no one's gonna remember that.
When I look at a level 20 character sheet, it's almost never the subclass features that I'm hyped for. It's almost never your AC that I'm hyped for. It's all the little pieces that you found along the way. It's all the other things that made your character unique. Like if you did something like you were a fighter or whatever it was, and you became a warlock, but you became a warlock because throughout your journey, some demigod or some demi something like found you and like started hunting you, and like you ended up either it tricked you into making some deal or whatever, like, but like all of this stuff happened and it came about organically. Like I don't care how synergistic it is, like that is what makes a character alive. That is what makes a character feel real. And too many people are like, I don't care about feeling real, I care about looking the coolest, I care about being Goku, I care about being Izoku Midoriya, or like whatever the thing is. You want to be this little, I'm like, that's great, but they had to get there somehow. They went through life experience. That's why they spend all those time doing the flashbacks and shit.
Yeah, they're not just that way just because.
Episodes. Yeah, it's because they went through something to get there, and it's your turn to do that too. But this is you going through those things. Like nobody wants to play those things out. They all just got to be flashbacks. And I'm like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
You got to run it. You got to run those ones, man.
All right. Well, Cart, thank you for the question. But yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we have had problems players, but not the worst. Not the worst. All right, y'all. Well, we will be back. We will be trying to do it this Friday. We haven't changed the schedule just yet, so we'll be back on Friday with some stuff. I'm hoping that we might do another round of OSR, but who knows what we'll do. But we will be back next week for another review. I think we have another subclass coming up. Or no, we have some spells coming up. So we'll have some spells, new spells coming in. But yeah,
spells.
That's gonna be us for tonight. So thank you guys for showing up. Des, if you did show up or watching the VOD, thanks for the review. Again, I think someone out there, not me, will enjoy it, but just not my thing. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys have a great week ahead of you. We'll be back on Friday. But until then, enjoy your night. Cheers.
This is my friends.